Morning, Coach Kelly here with one of my very best training clients, Randy Harding. So just to give you a little bit of background, we're going to go through a formal nutrition consult. Randy and I started training together a couple of years ago, and initially he was not a one-on-one training client. He was basically buying programs from me. And then we worked on his nutrition just a little bit, and then Randy went through some health struggles and had to sit out for a period of time. He is back now, 100% ready to go, and so we started working together again recently. He's actually now doing one-on-one training with me on the floor, and then this is our first morning to just do a deep dive into his nutrition. So it's kind of a reboot from what we had done in the past. So he and I weighed in, or say he weighed in this morning. We have our InBody scale, which gives weight, body fat, muscle mass, body fat percentage, all that good stuff. And so Randy, we are at 173, and your body fat percentage is at 30.7.
Right.
And you were asking me about healthy range, and I said it's going to be about 10 to 20%.
Okay.
So we look at your BMI, and BMI is a weird number because your BMI is really not that bad. But then with BMI, you know, a device like this, the problem with BMI, whether it's this device or other, BMI does not take into account muscle mass. I mean, when I was in my prime a few years ago, my BMI number was just way off the charts because I weighed about 25 pounds more than I do now, just as lean as I am now. Well, that did not compute with the BMI scales. So you have to take BMI with a grain of salt. But your body fat, it is what it is. We want to make that better.
Yeah.
But when you see this number here that the machine wants you to lose this,
Right.
that's it's estimating getting that number and that number back down into that healthy
Mid-range.
range.
Okay.
But you tell me, this is just this machine and how it's programmed. Where would you like to be? This number, total body weight, and your body fat percentage, where would you like to be?
I think realistically, in a good body fat, around 18%.
Okay.
Yeah. If I can hit south of 25, that's going the right direction. But if I could level off at 18, I'd feel pretty good at that. And 18%, that's a 12% drop. So in my body weight, you're looking at, yikes, 17, 20 pounds.
We got some work to do, but it's doable.
Right.
It's doable.
Sure.
It's doable.
Oh, absolutely.
And nutrition is, the training part is the least. That's not, you have to do it, but that's not the hard part. I say this always.
Yeah.
Coming to the gym a handful of hours a week is not that big of a deal.
No.
Managing what you put in your face from the moment you wake up until you go to bed at night, that's the game.
That's the game.
That's the game. So, I know what I've given you a plan in the past, but we're just going to do a reboot. So
Okay.
I'm going to take you through day in the life. You tell me what you're doing right now, and then I will revise what I've given you before based on our new goals.
Okay.
So what time we get up in the morning?
Get up at 4:30, in the gym by 5,
Yours is as insane as I am.
and out the door at 6. Go home, take a shower. I'm at work at 7.
So what's first food?
Well, I take a pre-workout when I go in the gym and some water, and that's it. And what I've been doing is intermittent fasting until noon. So my first meal is not till 12. I've been doing that, but when I work out with you, I usually go home and have a protein drink. But intermittent fast, so my first meal is around 12:30, and it's usually, and I'm guilty of going out to eat every day at work. But it's usually I try a chicken sandwich or a salad with a protein. So
Where are you going? What restaurant?
it could be like Modern Market, which I'll do like a bowl, like a beef bowl, or I could do a grilled chicken at Whataburger.
Okay.
But I do a protein like that, and then I'll drink maybe 1 cup of coffee between I get to work and lunch. And water.
Okay, so keep going. So what in the afternoon?
In the afternoon, and I track my calories, and that, unfortunately, that's, the calories are probably, since I'm eating out, a little bit high, but then I have dinner, and then that's usually.
So nothing in the afternoon?
Lately, no. The last 4 or 5 weeks. And then dinner will be another. I look for protein, and I'm in a bad habit of still going out to eat. So we can see where I can lower that number. But it's usually like, it might be like cowboy chicken, which would be a quarter chicken, sweet potato, and then like a Diet Coke. And then I will drink a protein powder before going to bed.
So, what are you having at night then? What's that shake at night?
It would be a whey protein drink with oat milk.
What brand are you using?
Isopure, and I might throw in a scoop of branched chain amino acids.
And almond milk?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
How many scoops of the ISO?
1 scoop, which
Just
is
one?
Yeah, which is about 25 grams, I think. And usually it's around 1,700 calories. Hopefully,
So how's this working for you?
not very well.
So, what screams out to me right off the bat
Mm-hmm.
is you're not getting enough protein.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Not even close. So, where's the intermittent fasting coming from?
Well, obviously,
What's
like,
driving you to do that? Or try that?
to make sure that I have enough calories to play with at lunchtime. Because if I have a breakfast, a protein breakfast, and I've got 500 calories. If I've done some math, and it suggests what I'm following on to do about 1,700 calories a day. So if I'm eating a 400 or 500 calorie breakfast and I only have 1,200 calories left for lunch and dinner, that's not a lot. So I save my calories. That's my theory.
So, if success leaves clues,
Right.
and it does,
Mm-hmm.
there's one species on the planet that is the best, male and female, at carrying high levels of muscle mass
Mm-hmm.
and low levels of body fat. And that would be your professional bodybuilders. Now, you may have no desire whatsoever to carry the size of a professional bodybuilder, but success leaves clues. And if you look at the way those guys have eaten historically I'm actually going to shoot this weekend a new video, and I'm telling the story about how I met nutritionist Keith Klein. Keith Klein is retired now. He was a nutritionist in Houston for years and years and years. But when I met Keith, this is interesting, he was in the middle of one of his clients. It was a 7-year run where Lee Labrada, he placed between 1987 and 1993 top 4 in the Mr. Olympia contest, which is the top men's bodybuilding contest on the planet. Lee was top 4 in the world for 7 years. Success leaves clues. I mean, the guy was amazing. And if you look at how Lee ate, 5 to 6 meals a day, lots of protein, lots of veggies, fruits and other healthy carbs, healthy fats, lots of water. It was very simple. There was no intermittent fasting. If you look at, even the bodybuilding ranks today, there's probably someone doing keto. There's probably someone doing some other, quote unquote, fad diet. There's probably someone that utilizes intermittent fasting. But the bulk, the history of that sport and what those guys accomplished, lots of muscle, not very much body fat. They're not doing intermittent fasting. They're eating throughout the day. In my experience, what I see people struggle with is those that skip food in the morning and backload their calories towards the end of the day. It tends to work against you.
Okay.
So, in the spirit of getting enough protein, it's like, well, how much protein? If you look up on Mother Google how much, you're going to get a lot of different answers. But if you boil them all down to one, and it's what Lifetime recommends, and I think it's a pretty good number just as a starting point, because it can be pretty complicated. 1 gram per pound of lean body weight. So if we take your 173 and we back off your body fat mass of that, so it'd be right at 120 grams, right?
Okay.
So that's like your base as
Base.
120, but with only, let's just say that you're at like 35 grams here if you have a chicken sandwich, and if you got another 35 grams or so here, and then you get about 24, so 25 with your IsoPure, 70's 95.
Yeah.
And that's so with 3 meals a day. So just backfilling into not skipping in the morning, but always having that morning shake.
Mm-hmm.
And you could do.
And that's basically all I need for a breakfast kick.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm not asking you to have, you know, a
Eggs.
3-course meal in the morning.
Right.
But to put something in your body post-workout to
Mhm.
get that needed protein and nutrition,
Mhm.
that would make all the difference in the world. So, because you say that you were sometimes having a shake after training with me, because I know we just started this.
I'm starting to.
Okay, so what are you putting in that shake? Is it still the ISO?
It's ISO and then the oat milk and then maybe branch chain amino a scoop of that. But that's it. I don't make a a smoothie or anything like that.
So you just mix it up and drink it?
Mix it up and drink it.
So just right there, if we added 25 grams,
Mhm.
25, 50, and 70 is 120.
Mm-hmm.
And that gets you up to that base level of total body weight minus just your lean body weight.
Mm-hmm.
That would make a huge difference right there.
Okay.
So besides that, so are you agreeable to that? 'Cause
Absolutely.
there are no shortcuts. There are no shortcuts to dropping body fat.
Yeah.
And there are none. You cannot force your body to drop body fat. You have to coax your body into dropping body fat. And if you go overly aggressive on your caloric restriction,
Mhm.
your body says nada. And you literally, if you don't give yourself enough food, you will cannibalize muscle tissue.
Okay.
And protein is the most important most important. It's the most important of the 3 macros. Before, when you're trying to drop body fat, you want to give your body every reason to hold on to muscle.
Mhm.
Well, the best thing you can do that is to lift weights. But then you need to give it the proper fuel also to hang on to that muscle, which is giving it enough protein.
Okay.
So if we had a shake here, that's one big change. But then, what's the we're gonna switch hats here.
Mhm.
What's your other biggest area of opportunity for improvement?
Probably home prepare. Yeah.
Amen.
Yeah. Do this at home. Meal prep.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna go through and revise what I built for you before.
Okay.
I'll flesh this out, but are you open to, and he asked me when we were training this morning, he said, gosh, I'm just kind of struggling with my food. It's like, he just brought up, I guess I can't have any more cheeseburgers. I said, no, there's a place for your cheeseburger, and I'm going to explain. So I don't ask any of my clients to follow the plan that I give them. You don't have to be perfect. The first video that I created about a month ago was entitled, You Don't Have to Be Perfect.
Mhm.
You don't have to be perfect to make success. There is room to have fun. And this is something I learned from Keith Klein. I mentioned summer of 91, many years ago. He said, there's no such thing as good or bad food. There's more or less nutritious food, and both have their place in a proper, healthy, balanced diet.
Mhm.
The apple is not better than the piece of cake. The apple is arguably more healthy more nutritious than the piece of cake, but there's no reason why you can't have your piece of cake or your cheeseburger. So the question is when and how much.
Yeah.
So what he taught me is a little deal called 90-10 compliance. So at 4 meals a day, you have 4 times 7 equals 28 meals a week. Yes?
Mm-hmm.
So if you're compliant 90% of the time, I'm giving you 10% flexibility. 10% of that is 2.8 and or to me 2 to 3. 2 to 3 meals you can have a week off plan with one caveat. Stick to normal portion size.
Okay.
So if you want to go and have a cheeseburger and a little order of fries and a Big Diet Coke or whatever,
Yeah.
that's 1 meal. That's it. And you
Yeah.
walk away from that with no guilty feelings. You didn't do anything wrong. If you are truly compliant the other 90% of the time, you're not going to derail yourself with that 1 cheeseburger. But if you let that be gosh, I screwed up, I might as well really screw up well because I've got to go on back on my diet tomorrow, and you go off and have a bunch of other crap after that, that's not a good thing.
Right.
But there's no reason why you can't have 2 to 3 meals a week, normal portions, to allow you to be social, to do life, to enjoy yourself.
Okay.
What do you think about that?
I think that's good. I like the idea. I understand. That makes perfect sense. Because the big heavy lifting, the big stuff is the 90. and your body, I think, really wants that. So, and it probably falls in line, especially if I get consistent with that and doing that for a long, consistent time. I think that the 10% won't even factor into it.
I'll show you one more thing. So, I write a blog. Arguably one of the most popular posts that I've ever published was back in Dallas, February of 2021. We had a little thing called Snowmageddon. It was like a 100-year storm. It was amazing. We were snowed, frozen in for a week. And that Thursday is when I published this, but the title of the blog is Where the Nutritional Rubber Meets the Road.
Mm-hmm.
And it's very simple. You have your healthy meal. I know y'all can't see my notes. You have your healthy meal, and there's 3 steps. So outside of going out to eat, which just for my example, let's set that aside, not to say that you can't go out to eat because you can,
Mm-hmm.
but outside of going out to eat, or outside of going to the grocery store and just buying something that you can go home and throw in the microwave, which that can be a part of your plan as well, but that food is typically not going to be as healthy for you.
Mm-hmm.
So set that aside. Outside of that, for you to have a healthy meal, and for you, that's a shake, it's a shake, any of the 4 healthy meal, there's 3 steps. And if you take away any one of those 3 steps, you have no healthy meal. What do you think the first one is?
Prepare.
Plan.
Plan.
You gotta plan what you're gonna eat for the next week.
Right.
So planning drives your shopping list,
Shopping list decisions.
and then you gotta go buy it.
Yeah.
Duh. And then in today's world, you can either go get it the old-fashioned way, or you can have it delivered to your door, or
Right.
some combination.
Yeah.
And then step number 3 is prep/cook.
Yeah.
I mean, you don't have to cook a protein shake, but you gotta prep it, you gotta make it.
Yeah.
And then the other stuff, the better you get at these 3 things, the easier, because the healthy meal's not the hard part. I mean, if we all had a private chef running around
Yeah.
feeding us all day,
Yeah.
it'd be easy. But most people don't have that luxury.
Mhm.
This never goes away. Outside of you hiring someone to do it for you,
Mhm.
this never goes away.
Mhm.
The better you get at this, the easier. I mean, this is not the hard part.
Mhm.
So for you, meal prepping, I'm thinking on the weekend, that
Mhm.
needs to be a part of your process.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
How doable is that?
It's very doable. Yeah.
You've done it before.
I've done it before, and it's just doing it. I mean, there's nothing else but doing it, and I can do it. I will.
Randy, and it comes down to why do you want to do this?
Yeah.
And if that why is big enough, because you're not going to always feel like doing your meal prep on the weekend.
Oh no.
You're not.
Yeah.
But if this is big enough, you will.
Yeah.
Because
I agree.
hint, you don't have to feel like doing your meal prep. You just need to do it
It-
because your why is big enough,
Right.
right?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's worth it.
Yeah, and feeling. If I'm waiting for feeling, that comes and goes. But it's just getting locked in and knowing what you have to do.
Okay.
Now, yes, absolutely.
So do you have any questions for me?
No, you were going to make a.
Yes, I'm going to revise this for you this weekend and I'll send it to you.
I'm just ready to do it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, thank y'all. I hope that this offered some value just in seeing us, interact back and forth. Thank you, sir, for your time.
Thank you.
I appreciate it.